Hey guys, it's Melissa Morrow with Vintage Bee Design. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to share not only this DIY with you, but of course, my big announcement is gonna be in this video. Be sure to stay until the end of the video when I'm gonna give you the big news I have been dying to tell you. So before we get to that big announcement, let's get to a little bit of crafting as I promised. I'm going to be using Dixie Belle's Sea Spray, which is very much the same thing as Salt Wash or Bungalow 47's Vintage Texture. It's a texture medium. You add it to your favorite chalk paint and you're going to mix it about, I'm going to say about 3 to 1. So 3 parts chalk paint to 1 part of texture medium. And once you've got it all mixed up so that it is nice and thick, and how thick it is really is up to you how chunky you want it to be. You're going to dab it on, sort of pounce it on so that it creates a texture. This is a texture medium. You want lots of texture. So you're going to pounce it on so that you get lots of bumps and that you get lots of lines. This is definitely where you want to see your paint lines. So pouncing it on is going to create all kinds of cool texture just by the way your brush smooshes this texture medium around. Because this texture medium will dry out fairly quickly once you mix it up, it's as if the powder that you're putting in there continues to absorb the moisture from the chalk paint. It is important to use it up quickly. So in this case, I am batch painting several different pieces. I think I actually have 5 pieces that I'm batch painting. And I've gone ahead and used 2 different colors in Dixie Belle. Both of them, one is like a light green and one is a light blue. And this way I'm going to have a little bit of differentiating colors underneath. In the end, I don't necessarily think my colors contrasted enough for that to be obvious, but it is a habit that I like to have of using more than one color underneath. That way it just has a better aged look. And in these cases, I wanted to add a lot of texture, and I do feel that I did that. Going in with my second coat, it is now important that I cover the entire finish. If I were painting wood or something where I wouldn't mind the original piece coming through, then I would not have to do that. But because I really want to cover either all or most of this silver, I am making sure that I cover it completely. And you can see now, while originally mixing the colors, there seemed to be a contrast. As it's actually going on the piece, you see the colors are actually very similar to each other. And I did notice that when I was painting, but of course I'd already mixed up that batch, and I just decided I was gonna go with it. I wasn't too worried. Again, I'm not planning on selling these pieces. These pieces are going to be part of my home staging inventory. They have been part of my inventory, and that silver look is just dated. So I wanted to go for something that would bring it into a little bit more of today's current trends, which is a lot more rustic, sort of that crusty, dusty look. And the texture is great, especially when we are a coastal town here in Jacksonville. That chippy sea spray look is perfect. Once I have them completely covered and they are dry, it is really important for this next step that everything be dry. These have to be completely dry before you move on to the next step, or you risk actually pulling it up, which when you're laying this final coat, I would go ahead and be careful to do more pouncing than dragging. Don't let the bottom layer get too wet, or you could again have a problem. I have enjoyed working on these projects. I find that I don't use the texture medium nearly enough, whether you're using Salt Wash, Sea Spray, Fusion has another brand of it. There's a lot of makers that carry these different types of texture medium, and they're so versatile, and they really do add a lot to a piece, especially a piece that doesn't have much texture or detail to begin with. If you haven't tried it, I encourage you to give it a shot. Try it on a thrift store find, something that, doesn't cost you very much, a candlestick. Those are very easy projects to begin this type of process, trying it out. Even just on some blank wood or an old frame. I've created some beautiful old frames by using a texture medium when some of the details have come off, or when it's a frame that has like no detail. It can really make a huge difference. I encourage you to try it out and let me know in the comments below if you have tried it, what you've thought about using the vintage texture mediums. And just as I added the darker blue to the fish and the whale tails, I am going to use this lighter blue in Silk by Dixie Belle on the seahorse and the boat. I only added one coat of each top color, and then once those are fully dry, and again, I mean fully dry, we are going to go ahead and give these a light sand with some 220 grit sandpaper. Now, I want to be careful that I'm not putting too much force down. It's very cold when I'm doing this, so I want to be sure that with that metal underneath and the cold that's coming off of it, that I don't accidentally scrape it off of the metal underneath. What you'll notice as I'm sanding is you're able to see all that great texture that was created with the texture medium of the sea spray. And this is my favorite part, is you really get so much dimension and texture. And you know me, I'm all about the texture. Now, obviously, I am not going to stop here because it's not who I am. These would look great if you wanted to add white wax or dark wax over it, and you really get to see a lot of that texture. But if you've been following me recently, you know that those aren't always my go-tos. Sometimes I prefer to go with something that I have a little more control over. In yesterday's video, when I was updating some of our staging inventory, I discussed how much I love using Easy Peasy Spray Wax by Dixie Belle and DIY's Decrepit Dust. And I'm using that technique again today, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a difference. I'm not going to show you the full technique. You can go watch yesterday's if you want to really see me do the entire technique. So today I am doing the same thing, but I'm going to add a little bit of a twist to it. For the first part of this, I'm going to go ahead and apply it the same way that I did yesterday. I'm putting on a nice layer of it and then wiping back, and it's going to bunch up into those nooks and crannies that were created by the sea spray. But next, I'm going to add white Decrepit dust. I know that seems weird. It's going to work sort of like white wax. This is similar to controlling the dark wax versus Decrepit dust that you've seen me do yesterday. But today I'm going to use it with white. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight areas. So in areas that would naturally get a little more light on them, I am adding the white Decrepit dust. And that is going to brighten those areas. And then I'm still going to have that deep, rich grunginess in all the textures around where it would normally be shadowed or where dust might build up over time if this were a vintage piece. Just as yesterday, I let you see the process on how I used the dark Decrepit dust, I'm going to go ahead and let you see the process on how I use the white. Okay, so let's take a look at our makeover here. Here's a reminder of what they look like when I started and what they look like now. I would love to hear what you think about using the sea spray, and what did you think about the white Decrepit dust? Do you think that that is worth it? Can you see the difference between using Decrepit dust either in white or in the brown versus a wax? I personally feel like there's a big difference in my control ability, and ultimately, if I can control the process, I feel like I can control the finish and make it be exactly what I want it to be. Leave a note in the comments letting me know what you think about today's makeover, and then let's go ahead and start talking about that exciting news I was promising you. Are you ready for the biggest boost to your business, maybe that you've ever had at an event? In Jacksonville, June 6th through 8th, we are hosting CreativeCon 2022. Our amazing speakers are going to include Julie Template Bourne from Julie's Design and Signs, Dion Woods, the Turquoise Iris, Danielle Kamensky, the Makers Chat Podcast, Cami Collins from Momtrovert, Renee Cormier from Faux Your Eyes Only. And if you think that this event is just for us girls, boy, do you have it wrong. We have Chris Burton from A Glimpse Inside. He has over 165,000 YouTube subscribers, and he is a woodworker. Early bird tickets are only $2.95, and that includes all access to all 3 days, breakfast and lunch as stated on the agenda at CreativeCon.live. We are also going to have a cocktail party that will be a cash bar, but of course hors d'oeuvres and snacks will be included in that as well. After March 30th, the price is going up to $3.95, so be sure to take advantage of this early bird pricing, $100 off. And of course, tickets are limited, so get your ticket now. There may not be space later. If you have any questions at all, you can reach out to us at vintagebdesign.com. You can reach out to us on our Facebook page, which is also Vintage Bee Design, and you can go to our website, CreativeCon.live, to see the full agenda, who's speaking, what the topics are, buy your ticket, anything that you need to know. And of course, we also have discounted hotel reservations where we're holding it at the DoubleTree right on the St. Johns River. It's a beautiful space. Come enjoy a really education-filled event, and it's even a tax write-off. So if you're a business. So why not come hang out with us, as a tax write-off? Sure, why not?